here is the moment we are at, okay? And it makes me very optimistic. Our atheist friends...
I ain't your friend, buddy.
Our atheist friends who are running the culture have ceased to make sense.
First of all, when did atheists start running the culture? Most Americans are theists, and over 70% are Christian. There's never been an overtly atheist president, and God bless America is basically expected to be repeated ad nauseum, like politicians have religious Tourette syndrome. Secondly, he's basically saying he's optimistic things are going to shit, in his opinion, because the other team is in power. That's like wishing an earthquake on your own house out of spite for the bank.
That's what happens when you pull the bottom block out of the Jenga tower. It falls down, right? They are talking utter nonsense. When they say to you, there's no such thing as right and wrong, therefore if you judge another culture, you're wrong. You go, well, if there's no such thing as right or wrong, why shouldn't I judge another culture?
That's moral relativism, and it has nothing to do with atheism. Even as a nihilist that rejects the notion of objective morality, I can still acknowledge that there are some moral codes that produce more tangible benefit than others. Although that still comes down to one's subjective understanding of what constitutes beneficial behavior, but I digress.
You say, well, you have to respect every culture. Well, my culture is the culture that doesn't respect your culture. You have to respect my culture, not respecting your culture. They're not making any sense.
Actually, it makes more sense than you're able to comprehend. Ironically, that's exactly what Christians say when they claim that not letting them discriminate against homosexuals is not respecting their Christian culture. I don't respect theistic cultures that teach kids that they're born sinners, or pressure women to live inside a bag with eye holes cut out. But the nature of secular society means that I must respect that it's their choice what cultural norms they wish for themselves. Islamists can say the same about us. By their standards, we are evil, and by our standard, they are evil. We cry foul when they do shit like female circumcision, but we have no problem mutilating baby dicks over here at home. It's considered normal. So, do they not have a right to cry foul on us? Or are we just okay with moral hypocrisy so long as it's part of your team?
They sit around and they say men and women are completely the same. The internal life of a man and the internal life of a woman, completely the same.
Again, what the fuck does that have to do with atheism? Gender norms are their own separate thing, and there is no consensus amongst atheists about it. And for the record, there are differences between men and women on average, but overall we are more similar than dissimilar. So there's little practical application when dealing with a world of unique individuals.
And, I think, okay, I've lived a long time. That's not the way it looks to me.
Hate to break it to you, Grandpa, but your anecdotal experience don't count for shit.
But, great, believe what you want. But then they say, I'm a woman in a man's body. And you say, well, if there's no difference, how do you know? How do you know? If men and women are exactly the same, what would it be like to be a woman in a man's body? It would just be like being a man in a man's body. They're just the same.
Are you entirely sure that the same people making that claim? Because you started out talking about gender norms, and then this suddenly shifted over to gender dysphoria. The non-binary crowd are not the same as the transgender crowd. You'd know this if you weren't an ignoramus.
They're not making any sense.
Still making way more sense than you, bud.